Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. This week, we have with us Amruta Beri. Hey, Amruta. Welcome back.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So on Tuesdays, we talk teams, of course, but we always start with a question about the book that most influenced you in your career as a Scrum Master. What was that book, Amruta?
So clearly, Vasco, I would go with Five Dysfunctions of a Team. I just love how simple this book is, and the story is so easy to relate to because everybody who has been a Scrum Master has gone through these stages and these kind of challenges that the book presents. So it really resonates with you. What was most striking was how the trust in your team improves the bond between the team, how much your commitment to your work, your accountability, how much you need to focus on the purpose more than procedure, transparency of information that you need to keep at all times, amongst the team or even outside the team, whoever depends on that information, collaborate. That is the most important, I think, day-to-day fact. And I think all of these principles are so close to what Agile principles stand for. And it's a beautiful story that is woven around all these concepts, and because of which a team which is facing so many challenges, they implement all these changes and how they have transformed and they save their company, their product, and they're able to succeed from a failing team. So it's a beautiful story, and I think every Scrum Master should read it because they could apply all these principles in their day-to-day life.
It's great that you mentioned it's a story of a team transformation, because that's what we're going to talk about next. Now, not all team challenges end as positively as the ones in the Five Dysfunctions of a Team. Sometimes they really go sour, of course. Teams do self-destruct. It's a possibility that we need to be aware of and prepared for as well. So let's dive through one of those stories, Amruta, a story of a team that over time started with maybe like small behavior, small things that grew and ultimately created big problems for the team. So walk us through that story and highlight for us how those patterns evolved over time.
Sure. So I would go back like a few years, and I was working with this team where what we were trying to implement in the project was migrate a net banking website. So this website was already hosted on an open source language, and the bank now wanted to add certain like security features and some function encapsulations. So they wanted to like have their own code base, and this original like existing net banking website was now to be migrated to this new code base, which was the bank owned coding language platform, I would say. So that is how the project was described to us. So when we all started working on this project, we soon realized how technical all the stories are, because it was all about, first of all, getting used to this new coding platform, understand what extra security features and how we could implement them to establish this new net banking website, and how we could achieve what the client was asking us to do. So the team was really great, and technical skills were amazing. They were motivated. We started off on a good note. Agile principles were they were welcomed, and the team was really happy to explore we started off on a good note. A few of our iterations went really, really well. And for any Agile team, I think at least the first 3 months is about just settling into the Agile principles and getting used to, or getting that, muscle memory of what it means to be in an Agile team. So similarly, our team also took around, I think, 3 or 4 months to settle down, and everything was going well. All the sprint goals were almost like every sprint we were meeting them. The metrics were good. The velocity was, gaining. But after a few months, what started happening was as the code grew, the coding optimization stories need to be introduced. So when these stories started to be introduced, um, the problem was that no scope was defined for these stories. They were over engineered. And because of this, the stories that we were including in our team, in our sprint, those stories were just like out of hand because
So
no
they grew
scope
to be
was.
too big, right?
Yes, because there was no scope described, so if even for me, like, it was like very difficult to convince the engineers to put a certain scope, or limit it, so that we could finish these stories and focus basically on one optimization feature or one optimization function at one time. So it was
So
it was a tough time.
I guess this also meant that the team started to miss those sprint goals and to
Absolutely.
carry lots of stories from one sprint to the other, maybe multiple sprints in a row.
Absolutely. And milestones were being missed because of that. Because what initially, when we started off, the roadmap was that around 9 months should be taken for the entire migration. Like if there were 10 pages in the website, all 10 pages should be migrated by the end of 9 months. But going by this trend, what was happening is at the end of 6 months, we saw that we had we were really, really far away from what we had initially started off or planned. So, uh, a lot of like data need to be presented to this team, um, like reports about burn down, cumulative flow diagrams, to show where exactly we're spending a lot of time and how we could improve that gap that was existing. So they were not ready to see that big picture, because engineers sometimes they get so technical. It is very, very.
Because the code, Amruta, no? It's
Exactly.
like, it's the code. It needs to be perfect. We're here
And
to
it's their
make
baby.
perfect code.
You are so right. It's their own baby and they want to perfect it.
And
And
it's
I
totally
totally understand.
understandable, though, because we
Absolutely.
all want to be proud of the work we do. And this is one
Absolutely.
of the problems with optimization as a goal for engineers, because
Yep.
optimization has no end. You always find more things to optimize, right? How
Absolutely.
did this story end, though? Were you able to put some limit to that optimization work? How did it progress?
So, like I said, a lot of data was what it took to convince them, and this is not only like for the last sprint or two sprints back. Like I had to really draw data for the last quarter, and then I had to involve some senior members, their team lead, who was able to participate those meetings, try to convey what the message was. We're all on the same team, so our goal was to achieve that deadline that was existing in front of us. So it was very, very easy to present that data to them, and because certain senior members could direct them well into what their focus should be, they understood better. Maybe technical language helps people, helps the technical brains to understand each other better. So maybe
Absolutely. And actually that is one of the challenges, even when we're helping product owners, that once the work becomes very technical and the product owners have very little or no input to it because it's too technical for them, then we have to acknowledge and observe that, are they speaking the same language? And if not, we need to find other stakeholders that could speak the same language, right? Like you said, a senior team member, an architect, or ourselves, Scrum Masters, if we do have that technical background, because it's very easy to get lost in the code for the code's sake. There's always a good justification to add more performance, to optimize certain things, right?
So we slowly started to concentrate only on MVP features, and that is how we were able to roll out, those 10 pages with MVP features by the end of 9 months. So it was not that we had missed the deadline completely. We did put something out there, which was MVP, which was, what the customer would have liked to start off with. And that is how the team was really like from self-destroying team, they could produce something that, the customer was happy with.
Absolutely. And that is so important for us to help the teams to deliver something concrete, something tangible that customers or stakeholders can appreciate and of course then support the team on their next endeavors. Thank you for sharing that story, Amruta.
You're welcome.
Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.